I'm a senior here at St. Mary's. I'm also a transfer. I'm also a woman, and I'm a person of color. And people on this campus always ask me what it's like to be here. And I feel like I'm tired of talking about it. I want to show people what it's like to be here. I want them to see the visuals that I see and talk to the people that I know and hear what I hear. I think that's really important for people to see rather than experience through secondhand wording. Thanks. Hey everybody.
Definitely my freshman year, I wanted to transfer out at the end because I felt I was conscious about the fact that no one looks like me and I didn't have any black friends. And I think that, I guess for me personally and in general, because there aren't a lot of people who look like me, when I talk about my experience for looking like me, being black, and then a woman and intersectionality, it's not taken seriously and it's seen as complaining. I feel like if there are people who are like me who are more people who look like me who are here, they would be like, oh, it's an actual concern. So it's really sad that it happens. They're like, only like maybe a handful of you are complaining. It ain't a big deal.
I think the biggest thing that was awful for me was having to adjust to everyday life here at St. Mary's, knowing that there was not a lot of people of color here. And that people shouldn't have to do that. I felt like I had to do it in order to like keep going every single day and to act like everything was okay with myself. And the sad thing about adjusting is like, being okay with the fact that it's like that, or like downplaying my feelings or having to compensate for my feelings, and that's not how anyone should feel. And I feel like throughout this year, adjusting just wasn't working, and I found myself in a place where I wasn't willing to allow myself to feel like that anymore.
When I first came to St. Mary's 19 years ago, there were very few Latino faculty members, and so I did feel alone a lot, and that when I was negotiating student issues or faculty department issues, that I was the only one that figured things out this way, or I was the only one that acted this way. I was the only loud one in the room.
As a person of color, and because I'm in the sciences, we don't talk about anything that's not the sciences, really. So it's been mostly straightforward. It really hasn't affected how I learn, like, my academics, just because, like, we don't talk about it. It's not something that, like, in class, it's not something that I usually have to think about. Like, maybe outside of class, I, like, reflect on maybe something, but it's never something that, like, while during the classes or with writing, because we never really write papers or anything.
Being mixed, your blackness is constantly questioned. So for me, not having that person in my class that I can, talk to, and someone who validates my blackness, because I feel like I constantly have to validate my blackness on campus.
So I feel that the lack of representation really affects, as a student of color, how you perform in the classroom, because there's no one you can sit there and relate to. I think, again, bringing up seminars, something whenever a text like the MLK text comes out, as a person of color, everyone looks at you to like figure it out, and I'm like, no, that's not my job. That's your job to inform yourself. And I do feel that St. Mary's is lacking, and we are in an area that there's plenty of areas to go recruit from. We're in the Bay Area. You can't say that there's no people of color anywhere in the area. There's just, Oakland's right there, Richmond's right there. There's just no excuse anymore. But I do feel that it really truly impacts a student, because what are they supposed to do when there's no one in the classroom they can be like, they can relate to, or they can bounce off of. I noticed that when I do actually have another person of color in the classroom, we definitely vibe, and it's like we're instantaneously friends. And I feel that that's a good thing on campus, that I feel like as a person of color we have like our little group, and it's just nice. But it's like in the classroom where the representation is lacking, I want to say your opinion because it could be completely different than someone else's. Me personally, I don't really care anymore. But for other, first year students, first gen students, and in general, that's scary for them. They've never had to deal with that, especially a lot of first gen students who come from areas where they are the majority, and coming here where they're a minority, like that's scary. And I don't know if that's not a good transition to have as a first year, and I think there needs to be resources to fix that or to address that problem.
Okay, it gets lonely sometimes. Also, I think there's the sense that I teach in the seminar program, and a lot of the work that I do is in like areas like classics. Like I've written some papers on Plato and on Homer, and I wrote a paper on Aeschylus. And you don't really see a lot of people who look like me working in those areas. So,
Because at the end of the day, it's impossible for people to really feel what I feel.